Thank you so much for choosing to listen to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Real quick, before we get into today's episode, which is with Miss Candy from the She Coaches podcast. And it's definitely one that you want to listen to through the end because there are so many good nuggets in this episode. But first, let me remind you that I am in the process of creating the 12-month course with a 12-month mastermind that is all about growing your organizing business. And I'm kind of at a place where I think we may even call it strengthening your organizing business, because I know for a lot of us, especially if we're just like 6 months to a year in, we're not necessarily ready to scale or to grow per se, but we are ready to strengthen it. We need to simplify some things. We need to streamline some stuff. That way, as we move forward and as we're working with clients more often, we know that all of our bases are covered. So real quick, let me share a few of the modules that are going to be in this course with Mastermind. So we are going to revisit our business foundations. We're going to create a vision for the year of 2025. So we have a plan moving forward. We're going to get clear on our ideal clients so we can create magnetic content. We're going to revisit and refresh our branding to make sure that it goes with who we are now, because when we first start, things can be a little rushed or more vague. And so we actually need to go back and look at that and make sure that all of our branding goes with who we are now and who we're trying to talk to. You're going to learn how to add coaching to your tool belt, because that is a pivotal part of what helps me with my clients. We are going to talk about building local connections. We are going to learn how to create wow factors. We're going to simplify our marketing strategy. We are going to expand our offerings in our business. We are going to go into so many things, and there's a few more besides that. My goal is to have a mastermind that you have the course so you can go through the modules, and then our mastermind session where we meet once a month is actually us going over the homework. So when you come to the mastermind meeting, you've already gone through the modules for that month. You've already audited your own stuff. You've already looked at it, figured out where you're getting stuck, and then you have some homework for each module. Well, the great thing is, as you do that homework and then you come meet us in the mastermind meeting, there, we are going to have peer-to-peer advice, accountability. We're going to help one another strengthen our businesses so we can grow moving forward. So we are very intentional about what our business looks like to the outside world and the experience that our clients are having. That way our word of mouth starts to grow. I also have a whole month on Google because that is a huge piece of what we do as organizers. And then, of course, our online presence, all the stuff. Like, it has everything in it that you're going to need to strengthen your business, get more streamlined, simplify everything. So again, moving forward after 2025, you know exactly who you're talking to, what your branding is, what you do for your clients, how to create an amazing client experience. So then all of those foundational pieces and those pillars can continue to build on one another. And that way, anytime you have a conversation, you know what you're saying, you know how you're helping your client, all the things. So I say all of this just to let you know you definitely want to be a part of this course with Mastermind. This is probably going to be the only year that the course, like just by purchasing the course, you automatically get brought into the Mastermind. And so this is the year that you want to do this. I promise you. There's definitely going to be more to come about this, the specifics. I'm going to do a whole episode on it. But what I need you to know is I need you to click the link in the show notes and let me know that you are interested so I can make sure you get all of the information you need between now and January 1st, because we are going to be meeting on the third Thursday of every month from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just make sure that if you have any questions about any of this, email me. If you'll go to proorganizerscoach@gmail.com, you can email me there, or just go to proorganizerscoach.com, click contact, and then you should be able to get a hold of me that way as well. All right, without further ado, let's get into the episode, and I hope to see you in the very near future inside of the course and the mastermind. I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey friend, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have another podcaster on here. She has the She Coaches podcast, and I'm so excited to do this podcast swap with her. The topic that we are going to talk to you about is so crucial as an entrepreneur. How you need to have a journaling practice, but also how to coach yourself, which if you've listened to me for any length of time, you know I love coaching. And I love it because it's been so powerful in helping me grow and thrive. It helps me with my clients. And so as you're listening today, you may even have to go back and listen a second time, but I want you to look at it from the perspective of A, how can it help you? But B, how can you use this with your clients to help them in their process? So I know today's going to be a fantastic episode. And Miss Candy Motzek, will you please say hi? And thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Real quick, let me tell you a little bit about Miss Candy. She is a business coach for aspiring coaches. She specializes in empowering intelligent professionals to launch and grow successful coaching businesses. With a unique blend of practical strategy and mindset mastery, which we're all about here at Pro Organizers Coach. We love a good mindset. Candy helps her clients achieve greater clarity. Her calming and personalized approach enables coaches to play bigger, sign more clients, and create meaningful and profitable success to guide her clients towards their fullest potential, which I love. I think that's amazing. And again, you're taking everything that you've been through and you're using it in your coaching practice. So I think that that's huge because that's what we should be doing as business owners is what we've learned is we're now turning around and helping others with it. So thank you for doing that for your clients because, you know, it's what we're called to do. And you and I just recorded for your podcast, which you guys should definitely go check out and subscribe to. But as we were on there talking, you and I both know that we are in our zone of genius. This is a calling for us. And so I just want to say how proud I am of you that like you've done what you need to do to get to the point of fulfilling your calling and walking in it.
Thank you. Gosh, I really received that and it's very meaningful. I appreciate it. And that's how we become the niche of one, right? Like nobody else can be your niche because nobody else has your life and nobody else has your experience and your zone of genius and the way you see the world. And so there's so much room for all of us to be successful. There's so many clients waiting for your listeners to come and help. And it's just the most wonderful thing. It's like a new economy. That's the way I think.
Right. It's amazing. I tell everyone all the time, like, it's not competition, it's community. And it's about once you figure out who you are and you're walking in that calling, there is no like, oh, I got to get my slice of the pie because then your people find you organically and it's meant to be. And so, of course, it's going to happen because that's what you're called to. So I love that. Okay, so tell me a little bit about like journaling for you, what it like either means to you or, you know, just kind of get into it a little bit on like more of a broad level. And then I'm so excited to go into how to do coaching for ourselves.
Okay. So let's just rewind about 10 or 12 years. And so about 10 or 12 years ago, I was still in corporate and I was like fried, beyond fried, super burned out. And took a leave from work, which there's a whole drama associated with taking a leave. You feel like you're failing yourself, you're failing your team, you're failing blah, blah, blah. But really, it didn't take very long for me to realize that was the best thing that I could do for my mental health and for my life. This is the one life I get to live. And so what do I really want? So part of my healing journey, other than getting coached, going for therapy, lots of therapy, and moving my body, lots of walking in nature, was two things. One was meditation, and the other thing is journaling. And so journaling is a practice that I have done in all different ways. Like there's no one right way to journal. I've been doing it for 12 years every single day. And so that's why I have these stacks of journals behind me. I usually go through about one a month, and it is one of the most healing things that I have done for my mental health. So that's how the journaling started, is that, it's my personal process that I do to help myself, to overcome obstacles, to shift my perspective. And that's the place where we come, like, how do you coach yourself with journaling, right? Because coaching at the heart of it is saying, I want something different. Something is not right, but I don't know what that is. And so coaching helps us get a new perspective. And then we have that new perspective, then we can take action, right? Then we've got the awareness, and then we can choose what we want to do. And so that's the place that journaling helps, is it helps us see what's going on in our head, and then we get to choose. It puts that power back with us.
That's amazing that you've been journaling for 12 years every single day. That is a huge accomplishment. I wish I could say the same, because every time I've gone through a phase of journaling, and then whenever some time passes and I'm able to look back, I get so much perspective from it, like on top of the other stuff. But that's definitely one piece that I know for me, when I journal, I know that at some future moment, I'm going to be looking back at it, and it's going to help me realize how far I've come, because it's very hard to know as an entrepreneur sometimes, like, you're like, man, I've been putting all this work in, like, I don't feel like it's working, or, it's so easy to get in those places. But if we have journaling or coaching ourselves or whatever, or walking in nature, I think that's huge for me. That is a big one for me, is walking in nature. But if we have those things we go back to that keep us good, then of course our business is going to succeed, and we're going to be able to help our clients that much more. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So I'm doing a fair amount of study with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but he does he's PhD psychologist, but is doing some cutting edge stuff on goal setting and how to create that goal. And one of the exercises that I was just doing a couple of days ago is looking back to where I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a month ago, a week ago, and seeing how I'm different now, how I've grown now compared to that person that I used to be. And that speaks to your piece there, Samantha, with we don't see our growth, but the journaling gives you those. It's like that timestamp of like, wow, I was really scared about that. I was really going through it there. And now look at where I am. And then you get that chance to feel so proud of yourself, right? It's like, wow, I've really changed. I've really made a difference. And for us to feel good about ourselves, and good that, we're good people and we're doing good work, and that we're valuable, and that not only do we deserve success, but we're creating it for ourselves, I think is just so helpful in every woman's journey of being self-employed.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those things that you just said are places that before you become an entrepreneur, you don't realize how important they are. And then I tell the ladies all the time, I'm like, listen, part of being an entrepreneur is it's going to show you some stuff that needs to be worked out, that needs some growth, all the stuff. But that's amazing, because that means that you're getting that much closer to being who you're meant to be and being able to help your clients at your highest capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that there's a thing like, who I'm meant to be 5 years from now is not the who I'm meant to be right now. Right. And so how can we, and that's the place where I think that the self-coaching and the journaling can help, is how can we see who we're meant to be right now, and how can we find evidence that we are her, that this is her for now. Yes, we're always going to evolve and grow, but this is her for now. How do I prove to myself that I'm the me that I'm meant to be right now?
Yeah, which helps with our thoughts, our mindset. Like, it helps with so many things when we just have that one knowing of, I know I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. And like you said, that I am her. Like, because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I see myself as the me even a year ago or 2 years ago, or, like you said, even if it's last month, half the time I'm thinking at that. And then I'm like, wait, no. I've grown. I've done these things now. But if I don't remind myself of how far I've come since then, it's very easy to fall back into that place of, oh, I'm still her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not far enough along. I should be farther, like all this interpretation. And so just in the act of capturing your thoughts and what's going on in your life with having that date on your journal page, there's a place for you to change your perspective. So there's a place that you're already coaching yourself, right? Because you've got those past journals to go, wow, a month ago, I was struggling with this. Look at how I've grown. So that is, sort of item number one on showing how journaling can coach you. When I think of coaching as the place where I change a perspective and how I look at my life and who I am so that I can choose differently and become more of what I want. The coachy version of it is to create the results that I want. And I think that's really powerful, right? So getting that perspective is great.
Essentially, step one is date it and just start doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. Like, I could show you, let me show you my page for today. Like you won't be able to read it. It's half of it's illegible. I think Dr. Andrew Huberman was saying that they say that the more intelligent you get as you age, your handwriting gets worse. So just saying, maybe there's either my intelligence or my age or my pen. I don't know, but it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And it can be like, it can be 2 lines in a journal. It doesn't need to be a page or 5 pages. It's just a little bit every, right?
Yeah. Just enough of, even if it's, hey, these are my goals for today, or here's how I'm feeling this morning, or, it can be anything that pops up in your mind. Like, I'm stressed about this. I'm worrying about this, or I really hope this happens today. Or, anything along those lines, as long as, like you said, you get it on paper so then you can look back at it so you can see the growth.
And so on the actually how to do it, you've already started on the path there, but how to do it is the first and the easiest way, if you're not sure, is to do what's called a thought download. And so a thought download was popularized by the Life Coach School, which it's the model which it uses is predicated on something that's called the CBT thought model, which was originated in the 60s and 70s by some very early psychologists. And really what they've done is they've said, listen, how you think and how you feel affects your life. Like, we know that, but how can we use journaling to actually see it for ourselves, right? To put ourselves in the driver's seat. And so the first way that I love to help people learn how to coach themselves with journaling is the thought download. Do you mind if I share how that works?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So step by step, what you do is you get the image in your brain of a 1960s secretary with the boss. And in the 60s, those secretaries, they wore those gorgeous pencil skirts at first, and they had their hair and their makeup done really well. And the boss would pick up the rotary phone and say, Miss Brown, please come in and take a message, right? And he wanted you to come in and take dictation. And so the secretary would walk in and she would sit down beside the boss's desk, not behind the desk, but beside the desk. And she'd have her steno pad and her pen. And then and it was always this she and he thing, these roles. And I have no comment about that because I don't go to that place, but she would take dictation. And that's exactly what your thought download is. Set a timer for 2 minutes if you're starting, because it can be it can be quite overwhelming and quite daunting to start journaling. So set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes. And at the top of the page, write, this is what's on my mind today. And you just take dictation. You're not dictating the letter. You are taking dictation. Now, remember, that secretary may have been having all this inner dialogue saying something like, oh, I should know better than to say that to that person. What a rude way to talk to somebody. But she didn't. She took it down word for word, even though she probably knew there might have been a better way to say it. So that's what you're going to do. Your hand and your journal, your hand in your paper of your journal, you're going to write down, this is what's on my mind today. You don't edit it. You just take dictation from your brain. And that's enough. 2 minutes a day. Thought download. More than enough. And what's kind of fun is if you do that 2 minutes every single day, even for 3 or 4 days, you're going to start to notice a pattern. You're going to start to notice that many of those thoughts that you write down are the exact same thoughts. And that's because a lot of times we don't have original thoughts. We just have old thoughts on a time loop. And then you're going to see, oh my gosh, I think that thought every day about everything. Gosh. And so just that awareness, that's like, it seems so small, but the minute that you realize, I think that thought a lot, and then you question it, now you're coaching yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's very simple, which I love, a good step-by-step, but simple, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. But exactly. I love what you said about the awareness piece. That is where things start to shift for us, because if we're not aware of it, how are we ever going to change it? We're not. We're going to continue to live in the old thought patterns that are going through in our head, which is why coaching in general is so powerful. But I love this because, okay, all I'm asking you to do is write it down and then become aware. And literally, it can do so many things for us if we're willing to do those simple, small things.
Yeah, agreed. So my personal experience is I have one very favorite thought that loves to show up, and it shows up for everything to do with my business. Now, I've coached a lot of people. I have a program. I do private coaching. I've got a podcast, the works, right? Like you've got all the stuff you've got, I've got. So I have this thought that says, I don't know how. Every time, every day I'm thinking, I better work on whatever. I better work on that new podcast episode. Oh, I don't know how. Are you kidding? So that one little thought, now that I see that thought, I don't know how, every time I see it now, I've seen it once, and now I'm like, there you are. There you are. Here you are showing yourself again. And it lets me giggle. It's like, oh, it's kind of like, same old. It's okay. That thought doesn't help me, right? So just that one little thing can change everything. Just that awareness. Yeah.
I love it. And exactly what you said. I think a lot of us have those thoughts, even though it's not true at all. Exactly what you just said. You know what you're doing. You know how to do. But
sometimes.
Right. Like sometimes we're winging it for sure. But for me, I've noticed that same thought. And I think in business, especially as women, it's very common for us to feel like I don't know what I'm doing. No matter what it is, I don't know what I'm doing, And so for me, like when I started learning how to create a course, it was like, oh my gosh, and I put it off for so much longer than I had to because of the thoughts in my head. And so, maybe I could have gotten over that a little bit faster and gotten the course out a lot sooner. But now I'm at a place where I'm trying to also remind myself, like, progress over perfection, because I think, actually, I know a thought for me that comes up a lot is, well, if it's not perfect, it's not good enough.
Yeah. And those that thought, if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. Just as you say that, I know that if I have a thought that's similar to that, I can look at that thought and I go, that next step, like, how do I feel when I think that to myself? Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel? Like, for me, I feel inadequate. And then what do? I never do the thing. So I can never even get decent at it, let alone perfect. Not that perfect exists, right? So it's that we can see how we hold ourselves back just from a series of words that pop into our head, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we asked the question. Remind me the question.
So for the thought download, I always start with what's on my mind today.
Okay.
Because sometimes the things that are on my mind are good things. I don't want to pretend that they're always things that I'm scared about, right? Like I could use, what's stressing me out today? Or what am I worried about? But if I do that, then I've decided that I'm worried. And so maybe what's on my mind today is a great place to start. Yeah.
No, I love it. Okay. So what's on my mind today? And then
set your timer.
Set the timer. Done with
Take
that
dictation.
Part. Love it.
Done.
And then we're going to look at it and we're going to say, how does this make me feel?
That's right. And what I would also do is like, do this just right for 2 minutes. Like that's enough when you're just starting out. When you feel like, okay, do this 2-minute thing, do the 2-minute thing and then add to it, find one thought on there, just one sentence that you've written and circle it. And then say, how does that make me feel? And just get curious, right? How we learn how to relate to our emotions is like we're creating a whole new relationship with ourselves when we acknowledge that we have emotions and that they change, right? So how does that make me feel? And so that would be the next step. Do that for a week. Journal for 2 minutes, circle one thought, one sentence that you've written down, and ask yourself, how does that make me feel? Do that for a week. And what you're going to see is again, it's your patterns. What are the sentences that show up over and over, like my version of I don't know how? And then after, when you're saying, how does that make me feel? You're going to notice that there's a similarity to your pattern. And, Samantha, I know that you well know this, but just in case people are not, an emotion is an energy. It is a vibration in our body. And in its purest form, we describe an emotion as one word. So do I feel joy? Do I feel frustrated? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel love, loving, loved? So an emotion is one word. So again, how does this make me feel? Doesn't even add 30 seconds to your journaling practice. Now you're at 2.5 minutes. Do you see a pattern in how you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed a lot? Do you feel frustrated a lot? Do you feel sad or lonely a lot? That now you're starting to see, I think this way. I often feel this way. And now again, there's more awareness, right? And more choice for you. Do I want to feel overwhelmed? Do I want to feel frustrated? What can I do that's different? And so all of that is you're coaching yourself over and over and over, even though it's small, even though it's it seems simple, and it is simple, and it's okay. Like simple is great.
Yes, right? Please.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would recommend. That is self-coaching for yourself. How do you feel? How do you think?
Yeah. And the point of this, so for any of you that don't know what the thought model is, the thought model essentially says that you have a circumstance, whatever's happening, like that's happening. But then you have a thought about what is about that circumstance or that event or that whatever. So we start with your thoughts. That's why, you journal for 2 minutes. And she's having you look at a thought because our thoughts lead to our emotions. So whatever thought we're thinking about something is going to give us that emotion, and the emotion gives us our action or inaction, and that gives us our result. But the point is it all stems from the thoughts we're thinking. And I remember the day that I, through my coaching, like getting certified as a life coach, when they said, you can choose a different thought. I felt like the mind blown emoji.
Yeah.
I had no clue that I could choose a different thought or a better thought that is serving me versus like, to me, it was always like, oh, well, that's the thought I think. So I must think that about such a, I just had never thought about it. And the second that was such a key piece of coaching for me, like, as I learned the different things about coaching. But it's also something that I'm not allowed, but I often help my clients with as well, because a lot of our clients that are stuck in this place of, either too much clutter or negative thinking or even bad circumstances sometimes, whatever those things are, this would be amazing to give them, even if it's just the piece of start journaling, do 2 minutes a day. And that's, if you told your client, just start there. Because it's about getting it out of our head and onto paper. So then we can become more aware of it. And we can be like, one step leads to another. But we don't want to overwhelm people with too much. We want to just give them, like you said, keep it simple. One step, here it is, but it's something that can help them. And then you could even ask your client at your next session, hey, is there anything that you'd like to share with me about what you wrote down for your 2 minutes this week? If not, that's fine. I just want to give you the opportunity if you would like to share. And something as simple as that could literally bond you and your client for life. Like, they could feel so thankful to you for allowing them the space to feel safe enough to share what they're going through.
Yeah. And the way I look at that, and, just to sort of echo what you're saying, Samantha, is that in business terms, this is the value add, right? This is the value add. Like, they have engaged you as a professional organizer to help them declutter and create an environment that helps them. And they never thought in a million years that they might be able to learn how they think affects their life, right? Yeah. And so, like, it's the most powerful thing. And I don't say that lightly, like, to know that you, like when you said, I realized I could choose a different thought. That is the ultimate and personal responsibility, and to be able to take back, like, your ownership of who you are as an individual, that nobody else can choose your thoughts for you. Only you can. And that is freedom, and empowerment. You get to change how you think. You don't have to just stay with that old way. And as soon as you do that, that means that you can change your entire experience of your life. It's amazing work. I love it.
Yeah, I know. I love coaching. And exactly what you said, though, it changes everything for you. But it starts with that one simple thing. And so, the challenge moving forward is to just start with the 2 minutes. And I'm going to do this as well, because God has been telling me to journal. And I'm admitting my faults. God has been telling me to journal for forever. And I get so quote unquote busy. I could totally make the time. It's 2 minutes. I guess for me, and it's kind of what you said earlier, journaling seemed like, okay, I need to be able to get my cup of coffee and like go sit in a chair. And I need to, like, all these other weird things that I guess I thought journaling was, And so I'd always make it something way bigger than what it actually is. And so for you to say, hey, all you have to do is set a timer for 2 minutes, I can do that.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. And then, so there's one more thing that I think really layers in nicely with what you've described about, to know that you could actually choose a different thought. So if you've done 2 minutes and then you said, how does one of those thoughts make me feel? And you see a pattern of emotions now, because you are starting to learn that your thoughts are repetitive and that you actually have the ability to change things slightly, I would ask myself, how do I want to feel? And like, I know we all would say, oh, I want to feel happy, but let's not go there. Let's go to the place where it's like, how do I want to feel? I want to feel like I have some clarity. I want to feel like I'm in control. I want to feel satisfied. I want to feel accomplished, right? And so there is something really powerful about saying, I want to feel a certain way. It's not to say you're not going to feel those other feelings. You will. But again, as an individual, to know that you are so powerful that you could choose to feel a little bit better, right? Like if Viktor Frankl in a concentration camp could choose to have meaning, what can we do? In the challenges of our life, right? We could choose to feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. So. Well, and our words have power. They do. And we're either, speaking life or death. And so for me, I would much rather speak life over myself, my family, but, specifically myself. And I think I heard someone say this the other day, and I know I've heard it before, but sometimes certain things hit a little different. Yeah. And it was if you were if you were your own best friend and your best friend spoke to you the way you speak to you, would you be your friend?
Right.
Yeah. And I was like,
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Really well said. I love that. Or would that even be a friend at all? Yeah.
Right. Right. And just being, again, it's all about awareness. There's no judgment at all. Just like we tell our clients, and we mean it with our clients, there's no judgment here. It's about the awareness so we can grow. It's about the awareness so we can choose a different thought or a better way of being. But again, it's just about awareness. There's no judgment behind it. And so that's why you shared the story of the dictation, is because it's about coming and writing from a place of being authentic without, because we all have that, like, I want to filter stuff sometimes of what I should be writing, or, the shoulds. I hate the shoulds. So, it's about being honest. And I think with journaling, it's not so much easier, but sometimes it's a lot easier with journaling versus talking to someone. Because no one else is ever going to see that if you don't want to share it. So being honest with ourselves, like, that was a place that I had to get to in my life. And I didn't even realize I hadn't been there, but it was always what I thought someone else wanted of me. And so that's who I would show up as, right? And it took me a while to get to a place to figure out, who is Samantha, like, authentically inside? Who am I? And then that's good. Like, God made me. I'm good the way I am. And that's okay. Like, that's what it's supposed to be, And so I think remembering that as well, because I think a lot of us have that, or at least I did. I don't want to say a lot of us. I always had that, again, I should be doing it this way, or I think someone wants me to be this other way, or, no. Like, the more we allow ourselves to spend time with ourselves, and like you said, that's why the meditation and walking in nature and all the things are so important for your mental health, is because it gives you quiet time. It gives you time with God. It gives you time with yourself. And that is a huge piece of having a fulfilling life, in my experience.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. There was something, so let's just use this space to give them permission as well. So for the longest time, when I didn't journal, when I knew I should journal and didn't journal years ago, I always had this underlying fear that somebody would read my words, right? And so if that's you, it's like, oh, what if somebody looks at what I've written and they don't like it? Or I was complaining about my husband. And I mean, not that you don't love him, but maybe you're just feeling grumpy about him today, right? And so if that is you and you're worried about it, don't go and buy yourself a journal. Don't be like me, who has a stack of journals back there. But Instead, just use a piece of paper.
Mm.
And it's okay when you're just starting out, if you're nervous, to just write on a piece of lined paper and then shred it. It's all right. It doesn't, you don't have to use that, don't allow the fear that somebody might read what you read and that they might judge you and it might come back to bite you. Still use the tool to write it down, shred it, get rid of it, get rid of the evidence about how you're feeling. With time, you'll feel fine. With time, you'll kind of work it out, but just this is your permission. Don't say, well, I can't journal because somebody might read it. It's and maybe you don't even want to read it. Maybe you don't even want to read what you wrote, but just write it down and then shred it or burn it. For us, it's forest fire season, so I say that with caution. Throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I love it. And that's a lot of what coaching is what, in my experience, is that it is holding the space. It's being curious and asking powerful questions. But then it's also giving permission a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And so I love that you made sure that goes in there of however messy or different or whatever it needs to look for you to just do it that way. And you have our permission.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So tell them a little bit as we wind up. Is there anything last minute thoughts or anything that you want to say on that? Are we good?
So I think that that's enough. I think
I
that,
agree.
the women who are listening to this, you're smart. You know what you want. Use this tool to help yourself. Know that it's about awareness and getting a new perspective. You're not trying to fix the world. You just want to get a different perspective on what's going on inside your mind. So take the 2 minutes, write it down, ask, how does that one thought make me feel? And then give yourself permission to want to feel differently. There is more, but that is more than enough. It'll transform your life if you do that every day for a month. It would transform your life. And so that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So tell everybody again what your podcast is, your freebie, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Okay. So the easiest way to come into my world is to listen to my podcast. And it's called She Coaches Coaches. It's on all the players. I do have a free gift that you can sign up for. It's at Candy's with an S, free gift. And yes, my first name is actually Candy, Candy. So odd, but there we go. But you can always listen to my show. I would love to have more listeners subscribe. And also, I'm on all the socials, but better that I just give you the one place.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Yeah. I'm at that place now in my business where I'm like, okay, what's the one thing the one call to action? Because I do not want to overwhelm anyone with so many calls to actions. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And for you listening, we will definitely catch you in the next episode and have a blessed day. Bye guys. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.